Hey everyone, I hope y'all are having a great day, and today I'll be reviewing Siege and Storm by Leigh Bardugo, the second book in Leigh Bardugo's Grisha trilogy. I reviewed the first book, Shadow and Bone, some time ago, and I will leave the link down below if you want to check that video out. The Grisha trilogy, if you don't know, is a fantasy series set in a world inspired by Imperial Russia, where some people called Grisha have powers to manipulate matter. And so without giving too much away, that's like the general background of the series. The thing about this trilogy is that I feel like not much happens plot-wise in any of the individual books. Like, obviously each book has a plot because you're reading something, but it's just a series of small plot points, and if you think about the grand scheme of the overall series, not many major things happen in each book. So I've heard a lot of people say that Siege and Storm is their favorite book in the Grisha trilogy, and like, I can understand that, and I think I did enjoy it more than Shadow and Bone, but not by much. The ending of this book was definitely the best part of it for me, because something big finally happened and it changed the game for our main character, Alina. But overall, I thought this book was just, pretty good. I had a lot of similar problems with it that I had with Shadow and Bone, like a lack of emotional connection with the characters and the dryness of the plot, but I still liked reading it. We're introduced to quite a number of new and exciting characters in this installment, and a considerable number of y'all left me comments in my last book review for Shadow and Bone that y'all's favorite character of the entire series is introduced in this book. And literally the moment I met said character, I thought to myself, this is who everyone's talking about. It's gotta be this person. Overall, Siege and Storm was a good installment to the Grisha trilogy, although I don't think too much happened in it. I don't think it suffers from second book syndrome because, not much happened in Shadow and Bone either. If you liked Shadow and Bone and you haven't read Siege and Storm, I'd encourage you to, because I think it's worth continuing the series. If you haven't read any of the books, but you find a story about people with special powers and perhaps a war in an Imperial Russia-like setting interesting, then I say go for it. But that's it for the non-spoiler section, so spoilers are starting in 3, 2, 1, bye! Alright, so let's discuss Siege and Storm. First, I want to talk about Sturmond, aka Nikolai, aka the second prince of Ravka, I guess, who I'm assuming is the guy that everyone's talking about and everyone's saying, like, is their favorite character of the entire series. The thing is, though, I just thought he was alright. My issue with Nikolai is that I just felt like his character was very constructed or very contrived and not very organic. He didn't feel like a natural character to me. I don't like him as a romantic interest, like in any way, shape, or form, but I love him as a leader. I think he'd be an excellent king. He's the kind of leader who doesn't think he's too high and mighty to fight alongside common men, and he's smart, he's ambitious, he's calculative, he basically possesses every single quality that the leader of this kind of nation needs. So I think he would be a fantastic leader. I would endorse his campaign. However, I don't like him as a romantic interest because I think his number one priority is obviously his ambition. I'm not even clear as to if he was supposed to be painted as a romantic interest, but if he was, I'm not buying it. I don't feel that much chemistry between him and Alina, and also he's too much of a leader. He's too much of a king. Like I said, ambition is his love, he's married to his job, that kind of thing, where he even says that if Alina were in the way of what he wanted, or like if he had to harm Alina to get what he wanted, he would do it. That just says it all. Also, I feel like this is a really unpopular opinion, but I don't mind Mal. Like, I don't think that he's as annoying or as whiny or as unnecessarily brooding as everyone seems to say that he is. And it's not that he doesn't exhibit some of those characteristics sometimes, but just overall, as a character, I don't really think he's that bad. What's so crazy about his character, though, is that his motivation for everything is Alina, right? So he will go anywhere, he will do anything, he will become anything as long as it's for Alina, as long as he can be with her, as long as he's keeping her safe. And that obviously makes him very different from Nikolai. So like, Alina says that her main motivation, her driving force, is that she wants to save her nation. She wants to save Ravka. But Mal's driving force is Alina. And upon first glance, that strikes me as a very romantic notion, right? But then I think about it more, and I think about how if the tables were turned, right? And if it were Mal with all this power and all this responsibility and Alina was just trailing him around, Mal was the reason why she was doing everything she was doing, that would be extremely problematic, right? So is it less problematic if it's Mal doing it and not Alina? I don't know. That's just something that I was thinking about while I was reading. Something that's also a little problematic is that Mal is in love with the old version of Alina, right? He wants to retrieve this old version of Alina, but that's impossible if Alina is to continue on progressing as a character. So if he can't manage to keep up with the development of Alina's character, and if his love for Alina isn't going to be dynamic like Alina's character is dynamic, then it's not going to work out. But of course, enough about the romantic elements in this book. Let's talk about how Alina has a growing darkness inside of her, and like she's somehow connected to the Darkling. And presumably that tie to the Darkling is from the Nichevoya bite. At least that's the impression that I'm under. I thought that was a really fascinating storyline. Like, is Alina going crazy, or is this like an actual tangible connection? I hope it's expanded upon and explained in the next book, because I still don't really get how the Darkling could have possibly physically been there with Alina in all those scenes where she saw him, and how nobody else noticed his presence. Also, I guess I'll have to wait till the next book to see, but I don't know if the Darkling was destroyed at the end. I feel like it was purposefully left ambiguous, but I'm going with no. I think he's still alive. It's extremely concerning that Alina can't summon her power anymore, because that's what makes her the protagonist, right? That's what like launched her into her sainthood. What is Alina, or who is Alina, if not the Sun Summoner? You know, that's an interesting question. I'm curious as to whether the Firebird will be tracked in the next book, because they brought it up in this book and I thought they were gonna go get it, but then they didn't. So I don't know if they're gonna do it in the next book, whether Alina is gonna have to kill the Firebird and make it into an amplifier, and when she wears that amplifier, will she finally be able to access her powers again? And will her powers be strong enough for her to actually take down the Darkling, given that the Darkling wasn't destroyed in this book, which I don't think he was? So many questions, am I right? So yes, overall, Siege and Storm was interesting. It was enjoyable. It wasn't amazing, and it didn't make me like fall in love with this series, but I still think that Leigh Bardugo is a storyteller with a ton of potential. By the way, I went back home for the first time since I came to college for my birthday weekend, and I went home and I grabbed my physical copy of Siege and Storm and also my copy of Ruin and Rising, because I wanted to hold it up in my reviews. I am excited to get into Ruin and Rising and finally finish this Grisha trilogy, and then finally get to read Six of Crows. But this week before Thanksgiving break is going to be hell for me. So I don't think I'll be able to get to Ruin and Rising until Thanksgiving break or afterwards, but hopefully I'll read it soon and I'll have a review up for it soon. But yes, if you've read Siege and Storm, please let me know what you thought of it in the comments. I would love to know. Thanks so much for watching. I hope y'all have a fantastic day and happy reading. Bye!